All right, boys, we're live. This is episode 43 of the Deconstruction Podcast, brought to you by Jobtable, the simplest way to grow and manage your construction business. As always, we are going to kick it off with a quick review here. This came in earlier today, actually. This is from Tina Lenker. She manages a mechanical company in Florida. So this software has been just what our commercial small business needed to get us through our redundancy era. The customer support is stellar. If I have a question or need, they're very responsive. Thank you so much to Tina for that.
Thank you, Tina.
And that's our bread and butter, as we always say, is our support. So, we pride ourselves in that, and our clients will definitely know that. So let's kick it off here. We got a very special guest today. I was very excited for this one. We got Alessandro Cernuto, founder of Sorso Wellness Water. Funny story here. I actually got connected with Alessandro through a cousin of mine who has one of his systems at his house and just wouldn't stop talking about how good the water was. I got it, and I can validate for that. It's the best water I've ever had. Now have it in my house. Alessandro, he's built a very impressive business. 30 plus technicians, installs happening every day. And what really caught my attention is how turnkey and dialed in his operation and his processes are. So we're going to get into all that, how he built Sorso, how he manages that kind of scale, the rise in health awareness and how it shaped his brand, and a few other topics I think we'll really enjoy. So Alessandro, welcome to the show.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. You having me on here.
Pleasure is ours.
No problem.
Thanks nice to see you.
Nice to see you guys.
So I know we were talking a bit before we hit record here, but if you don't mind, take a couple minutes and just share a bit about your background and how you got started with Sorso and where it's at today.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. My grandfather had a company 50, 60 years ago, door-to-door sales, indirect sales. That's kind of where the bug came from. And he was selling a cookware. Cookware. We were manufacturing and selling cookware door-to-door, like 3,000 sales reps worldwide. So I kind of got a lot of the inspiration from my grandfather. And then the water filtration was kind of a spin-off from that because the brand he had built was so strong. The brand was called Cookomatic. So a lot of Italians and every Italian, had one of these. It was one of those products that if someone got married, they would buy their they would buy the cookware, that line. Yeah, everyone had the Cookomatic. If you got married, they did the Cookomatic. So it was a popular house brand name, and then the water filtration was kind of a spin-off. So we got into the water treatment. My dad ended up taking it really seriously. He was more of like a science background, and he figured out he figured out that there was an issue in the market. Basically, most people were offering just purified water, so water that wasn't really healthy for. It was not really healthy for drinking. There was a gap in the market, and we found a really good configuration that can give people healthy drinking water instead of just purified water like every other water treatment business. So that's kind of how it started, and then a lot of trial and error, guys. Like you guys know, with businesses, you think you have a good idea, you try something, doesn't work out as well, and you keep trying and trying, right?
Yeah, for sure. When did that spin-off happen? Like when did Sorso get created and founded?
So Sorso, before Sorso, there was a company I had, which I still have. It's called Pure Can Water, and that was kind of how it all started, where I had my own water treatment, and it's all with my online marketing and all that. And then Sorso, about 4 or 5 years ago, I had a partner, we met, and we started the brand Sorso, with someone that had a little more of a marketing background that could help me scale this to where we're at today.
So this is a few years old, you said?
This is now 5 years old.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did a lot in the first 5 years.
And is Pure Can still operational or no?
Pure Can is still operational. We have a strong base there that we're running as well. Like I kept it in the family. My brother's taking care of that.
But same idea.
Same idea. We do some commercial stuff too.
So that's impressive, man. 5 years to grow a company the way you have, and you're operating like it's a very high volume business by the looks of it, right? You have, is it 30 technicians from what I thought you said?
Yeah, we have about 30. Well, it's around 40 people working with us, and I would say about the 25 to 30 technicians.
Yeah, so 30 technicians. I'm assuming like multiple installs happening every single day. And to manage that type of operation, your systems and processes have to be dialed in, of course, right? We speak to successful businesses and trades every single day. And that's the one common denominator, is like the processes are very systemized and dialed in. So at what point did you think about establishing your business and operating processes the way you have them now? Was it from day one because you had this vision that your company would be where it is today, or did you kind of have to figure it out kind of on the fly as you were scaling and growing?
I mean, we did have to figure it out as we were going, but from the very beginning, the minute we started, intaking leads, like buying, we do a lot of advertising, so the minute we started buying leads, we knew that we needed to nurture those leads a specific way. So we set up processes from the get-go where these leads would probably be nurtured, with automations, with a lot of thought behind it in terms of how we were going to take this client step by step through the process, and in a way that we're going to maximize success and closing, earning the business. That was one thing. That was kind of the first thing that we had to create. And then obviously now that we're installing systems, as we've progressed, we had to set up or implement specific processes to make the whole process run smoothly, right? So we did have something in the very beginning. It doesn't look anything as it looks like now. Like, it's much better. And as you go, you learn, right? And you improve.
Yeah, it sounds like a true entrepreneur. Like I'll speak for myself. Even we met because I wanted a system at my house, right? And one thing I will tell you is, from the second we spoke to the second that you put me into the calendar for an install day, like seconds later, I had an email, confirming that. You guys said Monday 9 a.m. The guy was there to install. Guy was professional. Guy got it done. So definitely, like like you said, the process has to be dialed in, right? Because you're definitely doing something right. To have that much, leads that are coming in, and again, me, Costa, and some other guys that we know, those were not through ads, right? Those are through a referral. So I'm assuming your referral base is huge as well. And to be able to give such a quick turnaround, I think we spoke on like a Wednesday or a Thursday. You were trying to book me in for Friday. I didn't have nobody home, and you had somebody there Monday at 9 a.m. So that's like, again, from somebody who runs a construction company myself, and everything is about scheduling and being on time and being professional. Definitely, like you said, I guess those growing pains that you went through, I can tell you firsthand, you have that dialed in.
Yeah, thanks. We're trying our best, and like you said, it's really important to be responsive and give a really good service to everybody, to the best of our ability. At the end of the day, it's hard to make everybody happy, but we are trying our best, especially in the digital age.
No, it's definitely hard, and you know what, like, Costa, I don't want to interrupt here too much or go off track, but I really want you to explain the Sorso product, because look, as a plumber myself, reverse osmosis, you know what I mean, purifying the water and everything like that. It's very important, but the way you've packaged this unit, like I have to tell you, like I'm very impressed, right? Like even to the button, and the way you guys were able to kind of kind of put this thing together. So do you want to talk a little bit about how this whole package came together? The way you're purifying the water, what are the issues with just RO systems? Like I know, but for our listeners, so they fully understand what the Sorso product is.
Alessandro, why don't you start with this? Why don't you tell everybody how bad is the Toronto tap water and just city tap water to begin with?
I mean, city water is, the city does the best that the best they can, obviously, to make the water safe for us. All right, that's the responsibility, is to make it safe for us. But it's not necessarily healthy for us. Like it's not, if you're gonna drink it, you're not gonna get instantly ill because there's no bacteria in the water and all of that. But yeah, I mean, they do need to add things like chlorine, which is not being removed, and it's something that we don't want to be ingesting on a daily basis. A big controversial one is fluoride, that's added to our water here in the GTA. Not every municipality uses that, but we do. In Europe, for instance, they're not using fluoride. Yeah, unfortunately, because fluoride, from our perspective, it's not something that should be ingested, and it's kind of like a poison that you shouldn't be, ingesting on a daily basis.
Just on that, so sorry, I just want to touch on this because I feel like there's a lot of confusion around the fluoride. Whenever I've looked into what the official reason for putting fluoride in the water, it all stems from like a dental association who made this recommendation, and I might be way off on this, but that's what I found. Is that where it originated from, where they kind of made this recommendation that in order to have strong teeth and the public needs to have fluoride in the water? Because from what I can find, it's like labeled as a toxic waste. It's like chemical waste. It's nothing good for you.
Right. I mean, if you read the back of like a toothpaste, it'll give you a warning, basically telling you that if ingested, contact poison control. If you look at the back of the toothpaste, so I mean, fluoride is good to if you go to the dentist and you want to do a rinse to avoid anything in any cavity, but to be drinking it, to be ingesting it on a daily basis, there've been correlations with like lower IQ in children. There's been all sorts of Harvard studies that have proven that it's not good to be drinking.
Yeah, and I always say too, right? Like it goes back to even our food. I know we use some type of chemical in there to preserve it. And, it's been brought up many times, whether in the US or here, about like, why are we using this in our food? Because I know in a lot of places, like you said, in Europe, even with fluoride, it's banned, right? And it's so funny because a lot of times, the common response is, oh, but it's just a little bit, like a little bit won't hurt you. And it's like, okay, but let's talk about fluoride or the stuff they're putting in our food. Let's talk about how are these chemicals transported, right? Are they transported in, one of these big barrels that have, the poison symbol on it? And in order for them to transport it, like these guys are wearing a hazmat suit, you know what I mean? So it's like, so what makes you think putting that in our water or putting chemicals like that come in, poisonous barrels, or if you ingest, like you said, on the back of toothpaste, it's like, funny you say that because even last night as I was brushing my kids' teeth, I just looked at the back of the toothpaste and it literally says, if ingested, and this is kids' toothpaste, and it's like, if ingested, call poison control right away. And it's like, but who made this like a good idea? But then, like you said, it's like you turn on your tap water and little do you know that that's the same stuff in there as well, right? That they're using to quote unquote purify the water. Right. So that's why I really wanted you to go down this kind of like, like why your product does what it does, because, it's this is mind boggling to me. And I'm pretty sure to anybody listening as well.
No, for sure. And it's, yeah. So, I mean, and that's something that they're adding to the water, not something that's already present in there. There's tons of, organics, and you have pesticides and hormones and trace pharmaceuticals that are being leached back in, because, when people take medication, and they, basically the reality is 70% of it, when you go to the washroom, you pee it out, and it goes back into our system, and then the filtration system in the city can't remove those things. So you need something to purify and remove those dissolved solids from the water. And that's why we need to use something like reverse osmosis that can really effectively remove all those dissolved solids from the water.
But reverse
So
osmosis also has its own challenges, right? If you can touch on that, because I know a lot of people are concerned when you hear the word reverse osmosis, it's the best method to remove all of these imperfections out of the water, but it also takes all the good minerals out of the water as well, right?
Right. So reverse osmosis, that's the thing. It makes the water too pure. So it's crucial to reestablish a healthy pH. And it's also crucial the way you do increase or establish the pH. So that's what we've done. We've established a system, or we've used the right materials to increase the pH, which natural calcium, magnesium, and potassium. These are 3 essential minerals that should be in water in very small levels, just to reestablish that pH and bring it back up in a natural way, kind of how it's done in nature, where water's passing over rocks, and we chose these specific minerals because that's what's been recommended, and that's what we do different. Basically, is increase the pH, do it with the proper materials. Yeah.
So essentially, is that how it works? It passes through kind of the filters, the RO, and then it goes through some like mineral stones, just touching.
Right. So it goes through the reverse osmosis membrane. And then you have that purified water. Then it passes through our wellness filter, which has those stones, which reintroduces those natural minerals, and then it gets stored into a small storage tank where that pH can stay controlled as well, because pH is volatile. So if you don't have it in a controlled state, it'll actually fluctuate. So the best result of our water is getting it straight from the tap, or if you're going to store it in a flip top sealed bottle, because you want to keep that pH the way it should be.
Got it.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and I can tell you, as somebody who has your product at home, and again, this is no paid ad, because obviously we asked you to be on the show, but I can tell you the second that we installed it, and listen, man, as a plumber, I've had many different filters at home. I got 3 kids, always looking for the best type of water. I can literally taste the difference. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, me and Costa were talking about this, like on the weekend, but or after it was just installed. But it's like the water just feels lighter. It feels like I can't explain it, right? Like, I know you're drinking the water, but it doesn't feel as heavy. It feels like purified, right? Like, I don't know, almost like the only way I can explain it is if anybody's had like hydrogen water, right? Hydrogen water, like, it feels lighter, right? And that's kind of like the same kind of feel I got with this water. Like, it doesn't have that smell. It's very clean. You know what I mean? And somebody who just had it installed, like, a few weeks ago, right? Like, we noticed a huge difference.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, our water does have some hydrogen in it as well. The stones that we use do generate some, it's called molecular hydrogen. It's like 300 parts per billion of it. So it's not like a super therapeutic dose, but you are getting some hydrogen in the water as well from the stones that we have in our system. The water is definitely lighter because it's purified, so there's less dissolved solids in it. So that's why it's lighter. And it's smooth because of the quality of minerals that we're using give you that smoothness, and also adding minerals to it. If you drink water that's been demineralized, like a Dasani or an Aquafina or something like that, it's usually very harsh, like metallic tasting, because its pH is acidic. So it's literally making you thirstier. Like, it's not quenching your thirst. You feel like you need to keep drinking water. with ours, because it's been properly mineralized with good minerals, because there's other companies out there that will claim to make the water alkaline as well, but they're adding back things like synthetic calcium, like Corisex, just minerals that have they're not natural. They're not going to give you any true health benefits. They will increase the pH, but it's not a true alkalinity. Like the alkalinity is not strong. Our water, the alkalinity is actually a strong alkalinity, meaning that it's very resistant to the change in pH. Whereas an alkaline water that's made poorly, the pH, any little acidity will just kill the pH. It'll just drop it. Ours, because the alkalinity is stronger, because we're doing it the right way, you're getting a true naturally alkaline water that's going to be resistant to the change in pH, right? Which is really, really important. And that's where we're very different from others. Like we know how to do this right. We really understood. We really understand what the client needs and what's right for, good for health.
I was gonna say, Costa said, it is very. I agree with him. It's very impressive what you've accomplished in 5 years. But I feel like it's more than you having a good product. Like you clearly have a good product, but you also seem to care deeply about this. Like you said, your dad was very involved in trying to figure out how to, make the best water and make the best product. How much has that played a role in your growth? Like just having that backing to your company.
Huge. I mean, I still call my dad with questions about stuff, and it's kind of a lot. We talk about this topic quite frequently, like where usually during the day, Dad, there's always something new you can learn in the water treatment. So we're always bouncing ideas back and forth, and yeah, I mean it helps if it's something that you're passionate about and you care about, and I decided to try and master one thing and be not try to do too many things. I tried to just stick to one topic or one subject or one industry, and this is what I chose, and I enjoy it, and it makes things definitely a lot easier for sure. And people can sense your passion. So
Absolutely, yeah.
So touching on that a bit more than Alessandro. So it's one thing to have a great product or great service, which you have. It's another thing to be able to distribute it and like actually make a real growing business out of it. And you kind of mentioned this a couple times regarding sales. Is it? I'm assuming like sales. Would you say that is your kind of sweet spot? Like, do you focus on the sales side of the business a lot?
yeah, I would say. I would say sales is definitely my forte here in the business. Um, which is, I was the one that kind of took, we like to use the analogy of an airplane, took the plane off the runway and, really grind out those first few customers, build the brand. At the end of the day, people, there's a lot of products out there, and it's great and all that you have a good product, but people are buying from people, right? People are buying from people they want to work with. That's with any business, right? It's so that was that was for sure something that I focused on initially, and I still do.
So like with any business, right? There's like an infinite number of ways you can do sales, different channels, paid, referrals, cold calling, door to door, like partnerships. You go down the list, right?
Yeah.
How did you? So two questions. Like, what is your like primary sales channel? You would say now, and what was that? What was the initial channel to initially grow, like to get your first handful, 10, 20, 100 customers?
Yeah, I would say Google is definitely our main channel right now, in terms of the best quality leads, and that's for sure the driving force of our company.
Yeah.
And then obviously at this point, referrals is probably hand in hand with that. Referrals are very strong, making things a lot easier. And just like you guys said, once you're established and the word travels and you start getting, I would say it's 50%. Referrals are probably 50%, maybe a little bit even more than Google right now. But
That's really
Google,
good.
yeah, Google's definitely a big force, driving force here. Google paid ads.
Nice. Okay. And
Initially, I mean, I already had, I had been in the business before. I've been in this business for 20 years. So I really had a pretty well established network. But the first network that I used to kind of start the business was I had a strong network of holistic nutritionists, and I expanded on those because they had the right clientele, people that were serious about health, and that's kind of where, that's what got me started is pushing with those holistic nutritionists and reaching out to them, and then they would educate their clients, and that's how we started.
yeah. So speaking on that, then that's I actually wanted to get into that. So I'm going to pull up just some data that I just pulled up here. So like in the last, I'd say 5 years or so, pretty much since you started Sorso, you could say there's been a clear rise in health awareness in the population, right? And this is pretty clear, like in what I see, at least in the real world, people around me, but it's also clear in the data as well. And if you see here, it's like market growth reflecting increased demand. So if you look at all these segments and their value in the last 5 years, like global wellness market from 4 trillion to 7 trillion, 64%, global digital health, 204%, dietary supplements, 38% increase, global vitamins, 50%, US wellness, 60%. So this is a very booming market, clearly, right? So would you say then that so how, first of all, how has like this shift in health consciousness, how has that influenced how you market and position your company?
Yeah, I mean, we positioned the market, we positioned it as a wellness company from the very beginning, like as hence the name Sorso Wellness Water. So we knew we were getting into the wellness industry. We knew that health and wellness and basically people taking initiative to take care of their health before something happens, being proactive about their health is on the rise. We always knew that, and so we position ourselves like that from the very beginning. That's something we knew.
And would you say like the sales, just the increase in your business is kind of correlated to those numbers that I showed you? Like, the increase in these markets?
I'm not sure if it's correlated to the increase in the wellness. I think there's probably not a direct correlation. There's probably some influence from there, but I wouldn't say it's a direct correlation from it. But I would say that in a market like we're in today, where it's pretty difficult to do business for a lot of people out there. Like it's not the best environment right now. We're still thriving and doing quite well. And I would say that it's because of probably something like that. That people do take, they do know health is number one, and everybody's going to do whatever they can to improve that, for their family, for their children, right? It's without health we don't have anything at the end of the day. So people do understand that, and the awareness is rising, and that's probably why we're continuing to have some success in a market that we're in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would assume, I would have guessed like this is like you have a perfect product and you're just riding like a perfect wave at the exact same time, I find, and it's great. Like kudos to you.
But it's I just wanted to add too, it's very organic because you're literally trying to solve a problem that everybody has, right? This is not, again, and not taking nothing away from, trades like us. Everybody needs plumbing, everybody needs electrical, everybody needs this, everybody needs that, but not everybody needs to do a renovation. You know what I mean? Not everybody needs to knock down their existing house and build a new house. But the reality is that, like you said, the city is responsible for bringing as clean as possible water up to your house, right? Now, once that water enters your house, you know, going through these pipes for kilometers and kilometers through pump houses, through all of this. By the time it
Yeah.
gets there, look, the reality is it's not that clean, right? Sure,
Yeah.
it's okay to wash your dishes, it's okay to take a shower, but the reality is to ingest it, and especially somebody, especially when you start having kids too, right? And you start looking at like, what am I like allowing my kids to drink here right from the top, right? So I find Alessandro, like your business and what you've done, it's not only bright, but at the same time, it's like you said, I just wanted to solve an issue. And it's an issue that absolutely everybody has. Now, whether they have the money to install a system like that or not, that's you know, that's for a later part of this conversation. But the reality is that a product like yours, everybody should have it in their house, right? And again, this is not like a paid ad. This is just the reality of test your water, right? Like Charlie did a test. He bought this machine where he can actually test the water, and he sent
To
us.
ask you about that, actually,
Yeah, and
Alessandro, sorry to cut you off, John. It's these metal rods that you put in, and it kind of like
Charlie, sorry, send that picture if
spins
you
a current.
can. I wanna pull it up while you talk, if you can.
Oh,
If not,
yeah.
all
Hang on a
good.
sec. I will. Yeah. So Alessandro, it's these rods that you put in the water, and it kind of sends a current through it.
Yeah.
So when I did it with the tap water from the city, it says like anything blue and green are like you said, pharmaceuticals, heavy metals like lead, all kinds of stuff like that. And then after about a minute and a half, it left this kind of like nasty brown black film on the top
Yeah.
with all kinds of like yellow for fluoride, blue and green colors on the inside. And when I did my reverse osmosis, it was just almost clear, right?
Right. Right. It's called it's a precipitator. That's what they call it. Those the two rods. So it
Yeah.
just basically it extracts and shows you whatever's if there are dissolved solids, it kind of brings them out, which is
Yeah.
it's amazing because you can physically see stuff, but it's a little bit deceiving because good minerals as well can come up and look as like they're black.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, like you told me that you can see fluoride and different color codes as well. Like they,
Yeah, again, I don't know how accurate it is, but that's on the legend. That's what it says. It gives you a
yeah,
color
Charlie, send that
one,
picture.
right?
Send that picture so we can pull it up, because I'll be honest with you. When I
Yeah,
saw that
I
picture, it
sent
was
it
like
to
3 days after I called you, and I was like, "All right,
yeah.
yeah,
Alessandro, we got to install. Nice to meet you, and we got to install this thing in my house," because I was disgusted, man. Like, look, my kids, what like they don't drink pop. They hardly drink juice. Again, being like health conscious, right? And trying to obviously, guide them in the right direction, and like to a point where my kids want water over any other drink, right? Which is like, okay, that's half the battle. But then when you see a picture like this, it's like, wait a minute, what am I actually giving them,
This is it
right?
right here.
yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So this is the tap water, right, Charlie?
Yeah,
No,
that's the tap water.
that's the tap water, or is that
That's
the
that's that's the
no?
tap water.
Where's the one with like the blue and stuff like that? There was
Well,
another picture.
that was before this. Yeah, so this is like 45 seconds afterwards. So the blue and the green kind of dispersed, and then it just kind of ended up being this film that you see on the top. It all kind of
That's
went to the
disgusting.
top.
And
So,
that's
Crazy.
so
straight from
why
the
why I
tap.
did this? Why I did this is because we try to give our boys good reverse osmosis water, remineralized, and we send them to school with it. But my youngest son, his brothers always tell me that they see him at the drinking fountain, right? So I always give him shit. So I did this test, and right after the test, I told him, I said, okay, now you can chug it, right? You like drinking tap water so much, now drink it, right? So obviously you didn't want to, and he got the point. So now he won't go near the drinking fountain. But yeah, again, I don't know. I did hear that it can have a false result because of that. But I do have remineralized water, which is reverse osmosis, and it didn't have that effect on it. It was just
You,
a tinge yellow, but it didn't have that heavy metal
right.
effect on it.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah. So I mean, the whatever the tinge of the yellowness is probably the minerals that were being added back, and they kind of
yeah,
showed up. But when there's an abundance of them, you see, some things are good, some things are bad. It's a mixture, so you
yeah.
just see that there is TDS, there are dissolved solids in there, and it's extracting it. So yeah, that's cool that you did that. That's smart that you showed your kids.
I think that's the best way kids learn. Is just have a
Yeah,
visual example, right?
Hey,
Just
listen,
scared them.
I'm 40 years old. I learned from that picture, right? Like I said, the second he sent that and he did a side by side. That's why I'm curious to see if you have the other picture, Charlie, that we can pull up as well. But when he did
Yeah,
that
I'll
side
take a
by
look for
side,
it.
I like you know, and I know anybody listening too would feel the same way, where it's just like I I felt like I was failing, like as a father, right? Because it's like, how can I allow them? And I had like filters, you know what I mean? Like again, being a plumber, I'm very conscious of this. I know that the drinking water or the tap water that comes to our houses, it's not great. And even if they do a good job, like I worked a lot in the water treatment plants and in the sewer treatment plants. I know that they try their best, but the reality is then you're passing through all these mains and pumping houses, right? Like some of these pipes in the ground, you know what I mean, are 60, 70 years old, and then they're coming through a lead service, and then they're coming into a house with old copper, and you know, and then it's old copper mixed with plastic, mixed with this. By the time it gets into your glass, the reality is it's disgusting.
Yeah, so that's the one here. So this is after 30 seconds of the test. So you can see the stuff kind of starting to form and go to the top. And it was like the picture was this like really bluish green and yellow. You can kind of see the green in between the blue and the yellow. Yeah, it's nasty. But Alessandro, just kind of switching gears a little bit now that we've given everybody a stomach ache and everybody's grossed out. Me, me and Johnny, we have about 30 people in our company. Obviously, there were a lot of growing pains to get to this point, from finding the time to quote jobs, do the jobs. When you start hiring, obviously finding the right people. You kind of become a glorified babysitter. Sometimes it feels that way. What are you doing to manage all of that? Like, how did you streamline your business? How are you staying efficient? Are you using any kind of software? Like, take us through from, going from 2, 3 employees all the way up to where you are now, and how you've done that.
Um, so in terms of which processes are you talking
Just
about?
how are you
The
managing
employees?
everything from, well, yeah, I mean, if you could touch on everything, but like, let's start with, for example, like when me and Johnny were starting out and we started to get really busy, uh, finding time to quote jobs was very difficult, right? It was just me and Johnny in the
Yeah.
trenches, and then one of us
So
had to start picking up the phone. And then when we started hiring, we decided let's split up. You go to the office, I'll manage the guys. But then again, we were very old school, pen on paper, right? So we eventually had to go to some kind of software, some kind of process, and multiple processes in order to kind of be an efficient company rather than just kind of like, pen on paper, so to speak.
yeah. So we have, I mean, we have a CRM system that we use. It's HubSpot is this one that we do use. And we design all our processes through HubSpot. So the minute a client purchases something, we put them under a call outcome purchase. We have the installation date a scheduled installation date when it has to be done. So we have our team in the background putting all that information in. Um, the sales team, they're all remote. They first put all those deals in through a channel. We have like a chat that they put them through. Then we have our back end that grabs that information and then puts it into our CRM system with all the different processes. So again, like I said, purchased, it's put into the installation date, and by putting them into the installation date, when the year comes, when it's time to change filters, the system will automatically send the client reminders saying, "Hey, you've almost reached your 1 year mark." It automatically starts to generate the invoice with as soon as we put those deals in, and that's pretty much it. And then once the technicians go to the home and the job is complete, they send in all the payment confirmations.
So how much value did that add to your business rather than, the old school way?
Oh, we wouldn't have been able to scale. It just wouldn't have been possible. Like, right, like the old school, most water treatment companies, they're sending someone to your house to do a free water test, right? So they're actually sending a guy to your house. He's gonna do a free water test. Now, most people don't even need a test, because you're not on well, you're on city water, and we know you could just check online and see, the water's being tested 30, 40 times a day. So you could see a report online about exactly how much TDS. We know what the problem of the water is, right? It's just a way for people to get into the door. So, and it's also a waste of time of driving all the way there, and it's going to restrict how you're going to scale your business. So we cut that out. We tell people we know the water quality. We do the tests before and after, and then we streamline the process, right? We streamline the process through a proper CRM system, and then we have a bunch of emails in place that'll bring people through the journey that they need to go on and keep us organized. Yeah, without that, it's crucial.
How big is your sales team?
So our sales team are 15. We have 15
15.
sales reps,
All remote.
all remote. Yeah. So most of our sales reps are in South Africa, and then we have some of our service team in Colombia, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when a lead comes in from, let's say, Google, the sales rep, are they calling that lead to try and schedule a service?
Yeah. So every day we have sales meetings, and we discuss, a certain topic. We do some training, and we send everybody a list of 100 contacts every day. They get a list sent to them. Um, some of them get the needs to think about it list. Some of them get the no answer list, no answer after conversation list, right? So we have different lists, different outcomes, and we can filter those even based on if the lead is hot or if the lead was cold. You know, we can see we give people newer leads, older leads, and then we give them based on the performance of the actual sales rep as well. The better they start to perform, the better leads we start to give them to incentivize them, and yeah.
Nice. Now, what about a lot of people we speak to? One of the common things we hear from other trades and contractors is just how difficult it is to find like good quality people that stick around and care. So with a crew of your size, right, that are actually like the service techs who are actually interacting with clients, going into people's homes, like what's your process? Like, how do you go about finding the right people who you trust to represent your company and your brand?
Most of the people that we found were just referred from the existing people we had, like a friend or someone that they knew in the industry, someone that they trusted. And then we put them through like a rigorous training, and we send them with the current technicians to see what kind of experience that we want to give our clients. And we do have some technicians that have a lot more experience for sure. So we do send them to specific types of jobs that they can only handle. But we try to send or teach all our technicians as much as we can, and we get and the way we keep our technicians happy and making them continue to give a good service is we do give them a lot of work, and they are paid based on how much work they do as well. So they all do earn. They earn a good living, and we try to keep them happy, and we're fair with them.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's great. And another thing I often see from other business owners, and I feel like this is the vast majority of companies out there, they basically build a company, but they're essentially just an employee of that company because they're kind of stuck in. They can't go on vacation for more than a week. They're needed to fulfill certain processes, and they're kind of stuck. And so although like they built a business, essentially they just like built a business to be an employee of.
They built a job.
They built a
job. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I feel with you, like you've really like honed in on like just the process side. That seems to be like a very significant part of your business, where you're working from home. You mentioned you work remotely a lot of the times. Like a lot of your team is remote. Speak on that. Like, where did this like mind frame of like honing in on the process side? Was that just like, your entrepreneurial upbringing, like people in your family, or was that something you kind of picked up on as you went along?
I mean, I would say a little bit of both, and also my partner has a really strong background in scaling companies, and it's something that it was really important for him as well. Processes, and he has a he was in the real estate business before himself. It's kind of like a tech. He had a tech startup kind of in the real estate business, and it was all process there. Um, and yeah, it's something. It's something. I mean, the whole reason why you want to open up a business is to hopefully one day have it kind of running on its own and doing a bit of managing. And the only way you're going to get there is if you have processes in place. If you don't have those processes in place, you're just going to you find yourself scrambling every day trying to do this and that and call this guy. And so as much, the more you streamline things, the easier your life becomes. And of course, things are still going to come up, but as they come up, you try to streamline those
That
problems
process.
right away. Like you have to take care.
Did your old man give you any pushback, just being one of those guys that was a door-to-door salesman?
Oh my God, yeah. He still doesn't understand. He goes, what are you guys doing? How do you guys work for the computer? What are you talking about?
That's funny.
Like, you're not going into the office? Yeah, you got to go there. What are you talking about?
How can you work from home, man?
Yeah.
That old school. I remember when we finished university, starting my first company, I was just like from my parents' basement every day, like in my pajamas, makeshift desk. And like at one point, like my parents were like concerned. They're like, what the hell are you doing down here? Like, go get a job.
I remember
Right.
actually I remember that I had to come do a repair at his parents' house in the basement, and Costa was down there, and his mom was looking at me speaking in Greek, like, "What is he doing? Is he okay?" And it's like they don't get it, right? Like they don't understand, right? And it's the same. Look, it's the same. Me and Charlie, right? We were union plumbers, and we left, and we decided, with no clientele, no nothing, just buy a truck, outfit the truck and just go out there. Everybody thought we were crazy because we were making good money, benefits, pension, and to a point that our parents too, they thought we were nuts. Like, what are you doing? People died to be in that position. But it's like you said, not everybody's built to be an entrepreneur, right? And like Casa was saying too, a lot of people, they build a business to create a job for themselves, but they don't understand the power that's in front of them if they nurture it properly, and they, like you said, like put the proper processes and procedures in place to one day let it run on its own, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just there managing it, right? Because let's be honest, not a lot of people have the mindset or have the ability to manage, right? Everybody thinks that being a business owner, running your own company, oh, you're lucky, oh, you get to do this whenever you want, you get to do that whenever you want. But it's like, no, actually, quite the contrary. You got to put in all the work. And even when you could still have a massive company, I know many people that have hundreds and hundreds, of employees, but the reality is when something goes wrong or there's something that needs attention, everything falls back on that business owner, right? Because it comes down to, now you got to figure that out, right? So it's the same as your process and procedures right now. They might be really honed in, but guess what? In 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, if technology changes, everybody's going to be looking at you like, hey, how do we keep up with the times, right? So it's almost like you need enough free time when scaling a business to always be ahead of the curve, right? Like to always make sure that you're adjusting not only with your business, but as you're scaling it and with the times, right?
I heard someone told me something interesting the other day. They're like, running a company or being a CEO or whatever, you should you should always feel like somebody's chasing you, like they're right behind your tail. Because you need to keep trying and making changes and changing processes and improving. Because that competitor, they're right there, and the minute they can overtake you, they're just going to run you right over. So you should always feel like you need to be on your toes, make sure you have your eye on the ball, be engaged with everybody, and keep making those changes and stay up to date. You're absolutely right, Johnny.
It's funny you say that. I actually say that all the time too, right? I think comfort is the silent killer in any business leader, because just like you said, there's someone we were all that guy chasing the next guy behind, like that those hungry young entrepreneurs, and they're out there and they're chasing you. So you got to be on your toes. You can't be complacent, can't be comfortable, because you will get overtaken.
And a lot of times too, let's be honest with ourselves here, right? We talk a lot about this on our show. Is like a lot of times people are buying you, right? Like, look, Alessandro, I researched Sorso up, down, left, right. My wife did as well, because my wife is the one that will, if there's a bad review, if there's people saying bad stuff, she's gonna find it, right? And I remember, when Costa got his done, I was actually waiting for Costa, and when I called you, I think the first time we spoke, we were on the phone for like an hour. You know what I mean? And truthfully, look, the reality is I put my faith in you, right? Where it's like, hey, this guy's no bullshit. This guy's not selling me a crock of shit here. He believes in his product. He believes in the customer service. You made me feel, and look, I'm a tradesman, right? I'm a plumber. I'm probably one of the hardest people to sell as well. I don't know. You correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because we're always trying to dissect every product that you guys have put together or somebody else has put together, right?
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and literally, I have to say, like, your product is top notch. I recommend it to absolutely everybody listening, and I recommend it to, even on the weekend, Thanksgiving, I was recommending it to people. But the reality is that after talking to you, you have that welcoming feeling and that entrepreneurial like mindset where it's like, dude, don't worry, man. Once it's installed, we're going to take care of it. Any questions, you let me know. I'm here. I'm this. You're not one of those guys that, you're here today, you're gone tomorrow, right? It's like my brother calls them trunk slammers. You know what I mean? Where it's like they'll sell you anything, but the second anything goes sideways, or you have an issue, it's like, they're nowhere to be found, right? So, that's one thing that, like, I always like to make clear on our show, where it's like, to be an entrepreneur, it's literally a lifestyle, but not only a lifestyle, it's a personality, right? Because you can have the best salespeople in the world, but if they're too salesy, right, it can also hurt the sales as well, right? It has to be a mixture of that, like, friendliness, that comfortability, of that, like, dude, we stand behind our product. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I always say it too. People ask us, like, how did you and Charlie do it? And it's like, look, man, like, we were just there head on every time. If there was an issue, we're there to deal with it, right? Like you saw before we started the show, like, I'm on the phone, right, before I can even say hi to you guys, because I have to deal with something, right? And I'm not going to shy away from it or put it away for 2 or 3 hours, because I know that person on the other side is waiting for answers, right? So
Yeah, I know. I agree with what you said. Like, the sale should not feel transactional. You need to build rapport with your clients, make them feel comfortable. When I'm selling my product to you, it's a lifetime commitment. We're going to be in your house every year, and I'd like to build relationships and rapport with all my clients. And I encourage everyone working for us. I had that meeting today, actually. I spoke with the service team. I said, guys, when you're speaking to clients, don't make it feel transactional. Like, people, they're people, right? They want to feel like, you care about them. You're telling, you talk to them about, how you enjoying the system. Are you a coffee or tea drinker? With the espresso, it comes out amazing with our water. The water tastes great, and have a conversation with them, make them feel
That's
like
so
they're
true, by the way. I know there's such a difference in the coffee. That's a good point.
And you're being very, and you're being very modest. I'm going to point this out, Alessandro. You're being very modest with your product, okay?
Yeah.
You're kind of downplaying it, No, honestly, it's true. Me and Costa were talking about this, even to a point of making espresso with the water. Even my drip coffee in the morning, it's like, holy shit, man! Like,
I've been drinking since I got this system, probably like 2 times more of the coffee, just because of how much better it tastes.
Well, because you're getting coffee shop quality now, because coffee shops use purified water. It's the main ingredient.
But also he's Greek, so the main ingredient of being Greek is half of your intake is caffeine.
I drink a lot of coffee too. Italians are the same.
100%, man, 100%.
That's funny.
I had to throw in a joke there.
Funny. Um, kind of off topic, but I'm curious to hear from you, Alessandro, because I know last time we spoke, we've talked about this on our show a couple times, just the whole idea of like there's a shift in the economy happening in the sense of like the demand for blue collar workers, implementation of AI, which is, transforming a lot of industries, taking out a lot of traditional like white collar jobs that you had to go to school for. But a lot of that is kind of getting displaced before our eyes with AI and technology. So I'm curious to hear from you as someone who went to university. We actually graduated, I think we were in the same program. We must have crossed paths during university days. But so I couldn't find any like reliable data on this, but like based on my personal network and just having spoken to like thousands of business owners, specifically in the trades and in construction, anecdotally speaking, I would say that a very small percentage of those people have university or college degrees. So, as a university graduate yourself, what are your thoughts on post-secondary education? Like, do you think it holds the same merit and value from when we graduated like 15, 16 years ago, or what are your thoughts?
I I don't think so. I think most people now, we're in the self-taught era where a lot of people are learning things on YouTube, doing their own research. There's so much information out there where I feel like people that are just honing in on specializing in specific things, you can easily teach yourself a lot nowadays. Where back in the day it was we were just starting out, all the information wasn't really out there. Um, but I definitely think that there's less and less. I mean, it's having a post-secondary education. It's a great base. I don't regret it. Um, and I think it's nice that you can start something and finish it and it's all that. But in practicality, we're moving towards more of a self-taught era where people are going to be able to teach themselves whatever they need to. I don't know what you
Yeah,
guys think.
I agree.
I
I
completely,
agree.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Like to a point, I get into tiffs with my family members all the time because since I started having kids, I always say, right, and I'll still stick to my guns. It's like you want to go to university. It's like unless you're going to become like a doctor, a lawyer, something where you have no choice, then no problem, right? Other than that, it's like find something that you love, you have a passion at it, become good at it, and I'm going to help you start a business, right?
It's basically, it's teaching people to be employees, basically, right? It's
Yeah,
giving you,
thou 1000%. It's failed us. Let's be
It is,
honest, right?
and it's also giving the wrong measuring stick of what intelligence is, right? Like growing up, it's like if you want to be regarded as an intelligent person, you need to go to college, you need to go to university. You're looking at two high school dropouts right here, right? That have done fairly well for themselves, and I don't base my intelligence on my diplomas, right?
No.
I think being an intelligent person goes a lot further than that. Whether it's just through entrepreneurship or just being a good person, just like you said, we're at a point in the world now, like you said, that you can literally teach yourself anything. Whether you want to
yeah,
crochet or you want to hit a baseball properly, you
yeah,
can learn it, right? There's nothing that's off the table.
Yeah. And a funny story just on this topic, not to go down like a rabbit hole here, but I remember in our second year of business, we were on a big job and there was a big issue between the drawings and what we priced compared to what was on site. So, we had to go back and basically say, like, look, what's drawn here is not going to work. And I remember they sent this engineer to site, and this was the engineer that unfortunately, and this not all engineers, because we have great relationship with a lot of engineers, and I hold a lot of respect to engineers, but um, we're on site, and me and Charlie were on our like kind of like mid 20s at this point, and the guy was kind of talking down to us, and basically making it look like we don't know what we're talking about in front of the client. And sure enough, by the end of that meeting, that guy was kind of like kissing the ground that we walk on, right? Because it's like we proved him wrong. And I remember we kind of had like a little bit of a side conversation with him after where it's like, look, man, I don't care how long you've been in school, right? Like, we're here to solve an issue together. I'm telling you that there's an issue. You clearly know now that there was an issue, but you come off with arrogance, right? And like Charlie said, like, you know, we're two human beings here. I don't care how long you've been to school, right? If we're working together on a common goal, you know what I mean? Then
Right.
what's
Work
the
together
issue?
as a
That's
team.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? That's almost like somebody that's working in the water treatment plant coming up to you, Alessandro, and saying, "What are you selling here? Like, do you know how clean the water is when it leaves here?" It's like, "Hey, buddy, you know, like, calm down. Like, I might not have the same, you know, science background or degree that you do, but like, here, I'll show you." Right? You know what I mean? So yeah, it comes down to unfortunately, I feel like society has kind of outgrown this post-secondary, to a point where I feel a lot of people, they get lost, right? Because how many people do you know? And I know we talked about this, Alessandro, we kind of grew up in the same area, right? And it's like, how many people you know that went, you know, to go grab their university degrees or whatever it is, and you ask them what they're doing today, and it's like they're not doing nothing they went to school for, or what they went to school for literally doesn't translate into what they actually needed to give them the tools to advance in their career, right?
Yeah, it's endless. I know so many people like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, last question I have for you, Alessandro. Not to put you on the spot, but it's I like asking this at the end. But if you could put one lesson that you've learned in business on a billboard that every entrepreneur in the world would see, what would it say?
And the first thing that came to mind is just, I don't know if it's the best thing, but the first thing that came to my mind right now that you said that in terms of lesson is a picture that was on my grandfather's office wall, and it says collaborazione, collaboration. And I don't know if you ever seen it with the donkeys, like you know, if you want to pull it up, I don't know if you, but anyways, showing how by working together, collaborating together, you can achieve much more instead of going people going their opposite directions. So that always stuck with me. Collaboration, working together as a team, and like you said, Johnny, everybody's here to work together as a team, and we all say all the same common goal. So our company, we all try to collaborate. We all have the same common goal. There's the
Is it
picture.
this?
There's the picture.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's the one.
this is on an office wall, so it's
I like
stuck
that.
with me. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
amazing.
everybody, yeah. So that's the first thing that comes to mind when you say
Amazing.
that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Love it. Love it.
I like that.
All right,
yeah.
amazing. All right, look, Alessandro, thank you so much, man. We appreciate you taking the time here. I think whoever listened to this is going to get a ton of value, so we really appreciate you sharing your insights.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on here, and yeah, I wish you guys all the best with your show and everything else. It's amazing.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah, and just to wrap it, if you are a contractor in construction, the trades, and looking to keep everything in one place without the headaches, start a free trial. Check out jobtable.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe so you never miss a future one and help you build a stronger business. So we appreciate everyone listening, and we'll see you next time.
Well, guys.
Thank you.